I would highly recommend on one like this to use the area idea, create a chart, and on your chart, on this side, you're going to have x plus 4. And on the other side, you have three terms, x squared minus 3x plus 5. And you can split up your area into those parts. Okay? If you're doing the chart method, it's really easy to see that you have 6 things you have to figure out. The first one, if you did x times x squared, well, that would be x times x, which we would write as x cubed. The second one, you have an x times a minus 3x. How do you multiply monomials? You have to multiply the coefficients, so minus 3 times 1 would still be minus 3. You have to multiply your variables. X times x would be x squared. And the third one, 5 times x. That's just 5x. 4 times x squared is 4x squared. 4 times the negative 3 would be negative 12, and we have an x. And finally, 4 times 5 is 20. You can then take out a different colored pen and go, ooh, those ones are like terms, and those ones are like terms. So when we go to write our final answer, we will have x cubed. Are you okay that I put the red ones together? 4x squared minus 3x squared would give me 1x squared. And I'm going to put a red line under that so that I can remind myself, oh, that's where I got that number from. And minus 12x plus 5x, that will give me minus 7x. And I'm going to put a purple line under that to remind myself that's where I got that number from. And then I still have a plus 20. So this would be the final answer. I would probably recommend the chart method. If we look at what's happened, can you see that the first row on our chart we got by multiplying the x by the x squared, the x by the minus 3x, and the x by the 5. And the second row in our chart we got by multiplying the 4 times the x squared, the 4 times the minus 3x, and the 4 times the plus 5. Can you see if I start with every term in my first binomial and draw an arrow to every term in my second trinomial, I got 6 arrows in the end. And those 6 arrows match up with the 6 spaces in your chart. The nice thing about the chart is it's really obvious which ones you have done and which ones you haven't done because you fill in that space. I find sometimes with the arrows, you get a little lost, like, oh, which arrow was I on? And then you might miss one. And so for that reason, in this situation, I might say I recommend the chart because you're going to make less mistakes. Okay? Once you get really good at it, you might like the arrows because they take less space in your notes. That's the advantage of the arrows. It takes less space. The chart is a little bit bigger. Okay? But both of them work very well for figuring out our answer. Okay. So that's a little review of what we're doing yesterday. The new topic that we're doing today is looking at binomials squared. And there's lots of mistakes with binomials squared. You might ask yourself, why are there so many mistakes with binomials squared? Well, I'm going to teach you something in the exponents unit, and once you learn it, you're going to come back to this one and start doing this one wrong. I don't know why, but it's just what happens. So we have to remember what an exponent means. An exponent means repeated multiplication. So x minus 5 times x minus 5 is the same as x minus 5 squared. Then, if you want to multiply a binomial times a binomial, you have two options. If you like the chart method, draw your x and minus 5 here and your x and minus 5 here, split it up, fill in your chart. If you like the FOIL method, first ones, outside ones, inside ones, last ones, you can do the arrow method. If you were doing the chart method, you would fill these in. You would get x squared minus 5x minus 5x plus 25. If you were doing the arrows, your first arrow would give you x squared. Your outside arrows would give you minus 5x. Inside arrows, minus 5x. Last arrows, plus 25. Whether you do the chart method or the FOIL arrow method, the two terms will be alike, and your final answer is x squared minus 10x's, because these ones are like terms, plus 25. So when something is squared, that means multiply by itself. So here's our next example. Oh yeah, this is the number one mistake that students do, is they just square this and just square this and write x squared plus 25. Okay? Whenever you have the squared with a binomial, I highly recommend you take the extra step to write it as repeated multiplication. So I'd like you to try these next three. And I'll come around and check as we're going. The first one already, if you did the arrows or the chart, you should have got an m squared plus a 4m plus a 4m plus a 16. The middle two are like terms. So when you add them together, you get m squared plus 8m plus 16. Next one, Judah, x minus 6 in brackets, all squared. What is the homework? Yeah, so the homework is page 194.
But okay, I looked there and then it's kind of weird.
Is that, do I have the wrong number?
I think so.
Oh, shoot.
It's like, hold on, 194 and then it's like.
That's
this
192.
Okay. It's like, that's what I'm confused.
I bet you I have it as a photocopy instead. Yeah, it says worksheet, and I saw the page number and assumed it was just what we had done there. Let me see. Is it? It is. Yes. I'll quickly, it is a worksheet. I just need to make a few more copies. I'll be right back. Put one of those on Kyle's desk.
Wait, not this side though, here?
That's the answers. I just photocopied them so you could check how you're doing. Okay. Let's see how these went. There's the answer for the first one. Here is the answer for the second one. X minus 6 times x minus 6. If I draw the arrows, first, outside, inside, last, I'll get x squared minus 6x minus 6x plus 36. These ones are like terms. And we get that as a second answer. And for the third one, if I write it out again, I'd have 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3. Draw my arrows first, outside, inside, last. I'd get 4x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 9. These ones are like terms, so I have 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. And then finally, for this challenge question, if I rewrite it out, these ones are okay, but the last one is squared, so I rewrite it out with x minus 4 times x minus 4. The first one, a number in front, needs to be distributed, so that 3 will go to both of them. The second one, there's my arrows, first, outside, inside, last, and same thing with my last one. Now, I'm going to color code things here so you can follow along. I'm going to do the answer to this one in purple. I'm going to do the answers to this one in black. And I'm going to do the answers to this one in green so you can follow along. When I multiply 3 times x, I get 3x. 3 times negative 2, negative 6. Then my black ones, x times x is x squared. X times negative 3, negative 3x. Plus 1x minus 3. And finally, in green, x squared minus 4x minus 4x plus 16. So this was the last question. I color-coded it so you could hopefully follow a little bit easier. And now, do we have any like terms that are x's? I have a 3x, a minus 3x, an x, a minus 4x, and a minus 4x. Do I have any like terms with x squared? I have an x squared there and an x squared there. And finally, do I have any numbers that are the same? There's a number, there's a number, there's a number. Putting this together, my x squared and x squared, that would give me 2x squareds. Those are putting the green ones together. Now my x's, 3x minus 3x is 0x is 1x. Minus 7x's, once I put those all together. And finally, minus 6, minus 3 is minus 9, plus 16 gives me plus 7. And there's the final answer for that one. So I gave a handout for page 194. I'm sorry, I missaw it at first. I thought it was out of your textbook. It is not. It is a worksheet. The answers on that worksheet are on the back. So again, do the first one. Check your answer. because you want to see, am I doing it right? If you got the answer right, then maybe you say, okay, I'm going to try 2 of them in a row and check my answer. But a danger is if you do all the questions without checking your answer, and you started making a mistake in the first one. You will now have practiced your mistake 10 times in a row and gotten really good at it. What do you think you're going to do on a quiz? Oh, I practiced making this mistake. I'm going to make it again. Right? So it's important that you're checking your answers early to see if you're getting them right.
Can I add to that?
Yes, you can.
Actually, I went around the room a little bit, and I noticed that some of you guys, and I've spoken to a couple of you, haven't done the question yet, and you're waiting for him. But when a challenge is set on the table, you want to do that question first on your own. Because if you just wait in math, and I've seen this lots over the years, guys, if you wait in math to see him do it right, you might find success because you're